crisis. California GOP Chairwoman Jessica Patterson joining us now with her thoughts. Hi, Jessica. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Logan. Great to be with you.
So the state has allocated billions of dollars, as you well know, to combat the homeless crisis. It seems like the problem is only growing, though. It's not really getting any better.
Yeah, in fact, we just unveiled the the homelessness audit. And we've seen now $24 billion has been spent on the crisis here in California. And not only has the problem not gotten any better, but it has gotten much worse. Here in California, we have about a third of the nation's homeless population. When you include all of the unhoused community, we have about 50% of the nation's unhoused population. This is a big problem, especially considering how much money we have spent on it. Yet it's been several weeks. The governor promised to have his State of the State address, and he still has not done that. Fortunately, if the governor doesn't want to talk about what's going on here in California, we will do that for him. And the truth of the matter is that we are in a very bad state right now. When we're talking about the homeless crisis, when we're talking about our budget shortfall, we're now $78 billion worth of a shortfall here in California. And California Democrats and this governor are trying to put together gimmicks, running up the state's credit card. You know, many things that we would never be able to do in our own businesses that we own. We would not be able to do it as a household. And they're trying to do all of these slick moves, and we'll probably end up having to make some really painful cuts that will affect education, that will affect public safety. We look at right now in our economy. Right now, California has the highest unemployment rate in the entire nation. Affordability, only 15% of households in the state can afford to buy a house. Not only that, you just did a spot on gas prices. We're now sitting on an average of $5.46 a gallon. That's
it is expensive.
$1.82 more than the rest of the country is paying. It's in a bad state right now.
Well, to continue with your education comment there, I was reading it's about $123 billion of a yearly investment in K through 12 education, yet less than half are graduating with courses needed to get into state universities. It seems like we have no problem throwing billions of dollars at problems, and they just don't seem to get fixed. I mean, what seems to be the issue? Are we just not spending it wisely? Or I mean, what is going on here?
Well, I think what a lot of us are seeing, and in fact, a PPIC poll just came out that was talking about, you know, almost 8 in 10 adults believe that the students in their area have fallen behind because of the COVID lockdowns. You'll remember California had kept their schools closed longer than any other state in the nation. Meanwhile, people like Gavin Newsom was able to send his children to in-person private school. Here, the California Democrats and this governor have walked lockstep with the California Teachers Union. And unfortunately, they are not coming down on the side of children. You know, 51% of adults believe their own child has been left behind because of these silly mistakes and bad policy decisions that California Democrats have made, and our children are paying the price.
Well, we're going to have to leave it there. Jessica Patterson for us. We'll just continue to follow it, follow the money, and hope for the best and see what happens here in the coming months. Jessica, thank you.
Thanks, Logan.
Yep.
Coming up, Governor Gavin Newsom signs a climate partnership with Norway.
Come right here on Good Evening San Diego. You see the governor there. We're going to tell you more about that agreement and what exactly does it mean.
KUSI Weather brought to you by Renovation Realty. Pre-sale renovations, no out-of-pocket costs. You keep the profit.